So you got your start busking in Boston.
Yeah.
And then you sold 20,000 copies of your debut record during that period. Can you speak a little bit about those origins and?
Man, I started back in the early '90s. I didn't know. I knew I wanted to do music, and I knew I could sing and play, but didn't really have any songs. And I tried getting gigs in clubs, and finally I saw these people singing in the street in the subway, and they were really good. And I thought I could do that, but I just procrastinated, and finally I got fired from my last job and working in a cafe. And I said, this is my kick in the ass. I got to go out there. I went in Harvard Square and started playing, and people gathered around and were dropping dollar bills in my case, and I was totally inspired. I thought, holy man, I'll never have to have a day gig again, man. And I just went from there to playing in little clubs, and then kind of worked my way, getting opening slots for people and touring around America, and it's grown into a beautiful career where I can play in England or Australia or Canada or the US or just about anywhere, and people will come and pay money to hear me sing, and that's like a dream come true.
And so organic too.
Yeah.
Kind of major in terms for it.
Yeah. I'm an organic music farmer. Mm-hmm. That's what I am. I go out and plant seeds.
Tagline. Yeah.
Then I go out and harvest them in and plant some more seeds and harvest them in.
In 2002, after being on Atlantic, you decided to start your own record label. What made you decide to want to do that?
Well, I had a good run with Atlantic. I did a couple albums, and they were cool. They let me produce my own stuff, and no horror stories. But I just knew I could obtain what I was getting without the big machinery of a big corporation. So I said, can I get out of this deal? And they let me out of the deal. And I imagine I very well could have been dropped after the next record anyway, because after that time, all the axe came down at a bunch of major labels, as I recall, about 8 years ago. And but I put out this double live record, and that was what funded my little imprint, KTR.
Kitchen Table Records.
Kitchen Table Records. And I named it Kitchen Table because everything in my life, I don't know about your life, but seems to happen at the kitchen table. Whether it's, I don't know, ideas or nutrition or just that late night cup of coffee, trying to comfort a friend, or anything from conceiving a baby. You know what I mean? Like, happens at the kitchen table in my life.
That's a great theme behind it.
Yeah.
Record label. That's great.
So I figured I'll name my label Kitchen Table. And it's been a great ride ever since, because it's such a cool time to be independent. It's so there's so many avenues available now that just weren't there a decade ago. And as a result, I'm selling more records and more tickets and everything than I ever did as a major label guy.
Mm-hmm. You based that in Boston as well?
Yeah, well, it's based in the western part of Massachusetts. I was in Boston for a while, but I moved out to Northampton. Great town, great music town. Mm-hmm. Everybody plays there. Took my daughters to see James Brown right before he died, and it's got a good flow. It's kind of like a mini Boulder.
Cool. You're heralded for, among many other things, your vocal range and your voice. What are some of your your favorite singers that you've been influenced by?
I used to listen to in Syracuse, where I grew up. There was the university had a jazz station, so I got all this jazz music influence, like not old jazz, but like contemporary jazz. So I heard guys like Harry Connick Jr. and El Jarreau and Mel Torme, and all those just great singers. And even before that, I would just run home from grammar school every day to listen to Stevie Wonder. I kind of wish I still had this appetite for music. I don't quite have it anymore, but when I was a kid, I would literally like run up to the attic to play Stevie Wonder records, and just open the album up and just use the lyrics to sing along. And that's Stevie Wonder is probably my biggest vocal influence, as well as a few billion other people in the world. Mm-hmm. Got to see him at Bonnaroo. That was a real sweet treat.
Nice. I read that you beatbox. Did you teach yourself to beatbox? I'm really curious about how one learns to beatbox.
Well, you just, as a street singer, I think I didn't have a drummer with me or a bass player, so I had to do everything myself. So I had, necessity is the mother of invention. Just whatever kind of thing to, mix it up a little. I'll do a bass solo, or I'll do a drum thing, or a trumpet solo, or whatever. And
Cool.
yeah, I like it's a good place to begin, is on the street, because you're just wide open.
And you're so totally self-reliant. You have to do it all yourself.
Yeah.
Did you ever play with like a kick drum or anything, or just
No,
with a guitar?
Just the guitar.
And the voice.
Mm-hmm.
You were also one of 14 children in your family.
Yeah. Well, there's 14 people.
Okay.
And including my folks, that's 14. So there's 12 kids, and I was the 10th of 12, which is probably why I'm always messing with people. My tour manager, will have, some Brazil nut thrown at his head or something from the balcony at sound check, or there'll always be some wacky thing happening at my show with my crew. They'll always get some surprise.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
How do you feel like that's lent itself to your kind of evolution as a musician, like your family life?
I think it's there's a certain joy, I think, in my music, because I feel very joyful when I sing, and I feel very sorrowful too. And so I think just all that human emotion is so universal that people can easily latch onto it and easily connect with it. And I forgot the question.
Growing up with a large family, how childhood influences your music today. That makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Being around a lot of personalities.
I definitely do a lot of weird things. And I think being one of 12 kids, it all started back then, being one of 12, I imagine one would have to do wacky things, mischievous things to get attention.
Right.
So I think I probably became pretty good at getting attention as a kid, whether I was, rolling the stroller down the long driveway into the street, or overflowing the bathtub, or who knows what, or doing, and later, discovered, things like fire and drugs and alcohol and BB guns.
All the things that make a musician.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I used
spices.
So, I got in a lot of trouble, shooting windows out of cars and things. Just bows and arrows was not good for me,
I don't think any child
in gym class.
In
gym class, we had archery, and that was not cool, because I actually got in some pretty bad trouble. No one was hurt, of course, but
right.
Damage was done, and police were involved. So, but
I bet, yeah. Did you taught yourself to play guitar?
Yeah, pretty much. I had a Mel Bay chord book, and I would learn the chords, and then listen to Beatle records and Led Zeppelin records, and that's pretty much my background of guitar playing. Is my heroes are Jimmy Page and Jimi Hendrix and Peter Frampton, all the greats.
I read something that Peter Frampton said about you. I guess he knows you well and got to do something with you?
Yeah, I love my job, because dreams come true on a daily basis. And as a kid, I put the headphones on, and I would sneak up to the attic to listen to my older brother's records, and he had Frampton Comes Alive. And I was like 5 years old, and I would hear that, that Do You Feel Like We Do? And the crowd would go, and I was just like, wow, that's what lit my fire I want to do this. And so later on in life, to be invited to play that tune with Peter Frampton at the Jammy Awards in Madison Square Garden, wow, what could be cooler than that, man? So I played it with him, and it was very cool. And that kind of stuff happens, I get to work with guys who influenced me, like whether it was having a guy like Tony Levin playing bass on my Wonderbar record that I was producing. Like, it's just not right. Here I am asking Tony Levin to try this idea out. And like, this is the guy who played with John Lennon and King Crimson and Peter Gabriel, and like, just awesome.
You made quite a career for yourself.
It's
on
wonderful.
your terms too. I mean,
yeah, I get to. I'm beholden to no one. No one's pressuring me to write a hit, or no one's saying you can't say that on this record. No one's. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's great. I think that's all I have. Unless you want to
Awesome.
add anything else about, your record, your tour.
Yeah.
Come see and play.
Just having a lot of fun out here on the road working it and enjoying my family. I really think family is important, and I love coming home to them, and I miss them being out here on the road.
Sure. Well, thanks so much for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to talk to you.
My pleasure.
I think that's it.
Cool.